The village of Dalton is more than $3.5 million in the hole. Mayor Tiffany Henyard is accused of misusing money, and today, she's nowhere to be found.
Do not work Kiki's phone. So stop playing these silly games, Board of Trustees, and putting people's lives in jeopardy.
Do what you want. But anything after this is insubordination.
I'm gonna remember this. Because at the end of the day, I told you, you guys don't run it today, the mayor does.
Mayor Tiffany Henyard is in the center of a growing scandal due to reports that federal officials have found evidence that she was actually involved in money laundering and misusing public funds. Tiffany, only in April of last year, FBI agents served subpoenas to Henyard at the Thornton Township Hall, requesting a plethora of financial reports and business information for the troubled mayor of a Chicago suburb, who takes pride in her title of super mayor. Tiffany possesses been charged with misusing public funds for her own benefit, allegedly spending money on a police protection detail and engaging in acts. Could this recently uncovered evidence be the decisive factor in putting Tiffany in jail? What specific evidence is against her? Let's investigate and discover. In the most recent installment, federal offenses have been brought against Lays Lacey, the deputy police chief and a close confidant of the contentious mayor of Henyard. Since taking office as mayor in 2021, Lacey has been an unwavering supporter of Henyard. Currently confronts an account indictment. The allegations include bankruptcy fraud, alleging that he plotted to conceal assets and income in order to mislead creditors and avoid having to pay a settlement for a previous litigation. However, Lacey's attorney argues that the main purpose of the charges is to get Lacey to turn on Mayor Henyard, who has been the subject of endless debate. The fact that Lacey has been one of her main advocates during Henry's difficult term in office just serves to heighten the tumultuous atmosphere surrounding her administration, as of late said, who have been resisting Hen's leadership place Lil on administrative vacation, but it seems he isn't prepared to go quietly, as reports indicate he keeps showing up for work in defiance of the board's directives. Some are now hopeful that Lacey could be the last. If Lacey chooses to cooperate, it could be the pivotal moment that ultimately deals a serious blow to Mayor Henyard's string of lawsuits and validates the claims that she has been using taxpayer money for her personal benefit. It is speculated that he could provide crucial evidence to support the numerous allegations against her, especially those involving the misuse of public funds.
Handle anything as relates to with credit cards. As you heard me speak today in my board meeting about it, I do not handle it.
Some of those charges are for you, though.
No, sir.
You didn't go to Las Vegas? What is that?
No comment.
You don't know if you were in Las Vegas?
Of course I do.
Did you fly first class to Las Vegas?
Any other questions?
You're not going to answer how taxpayer dollars are being spent? That seems odd.
I just answered it. What do you mean? I just answered your question.
You said you wouldn't answer about Las Vegas.
Months, but Lacey appears to be as resolute as they come, sticking steadfastly behind Henyard in the face of increasing pressure. Even his attorney supported this, stating that the authorities are only using Lacey to develop a criminal case against Mayor Henyard. They are focusing on certain village residents to see who would turn against the mayor, Petty claimed, pointing out that Lacey's devotion to Henyard remains unwavering, much like a dog's, despite the legal news tightens around him. However, there is a storyline twist a recent development has revealed, indicating that the federal government may have obtained evidence implicating Tiffany at this time. If you missed the entire Mayor Tiffany drama, let me to bring you up to speed on this exciting journey. It all began when, in accordance with state election procedures, the Board of Trustees had to select a successor to the late Mayor Frank Zarelli. The Thornton Township Board had only 60 days to select a new supervisor. Everyone believed that Trust Joyce Washington, the experienced interim supervisor, or Trustee Jerry Jones would be the best candidates, and even Thornton Township Assessor Cassandra Stan was a strong contender. However, as is often the case in politics, the board was unable to come to a consensus. Afterwards, there was an unexpected turn. A final nomination for Tiffany Henyard was made by Trustee Christopher Gonzalez just before midnight. When Henyard was sworn in as the new mayor, many in the audience thought her name had just appeared out of nowhere, but it turned out that Tiffany had applied for the job well in advance. The board's last-ditch effort to keep the decision away from the public, Gonzalez said he pushed for Tiffany at the last minute in the hopes that the approaching deadline would bring people together, since he didn't want the choice to be left up to the township electors. The divided board. Tiffany's first meeting as office manager was fairly standard, with her making a commitment to serve. Everything seemed to be going well until rumors began to circulate that Tiffany had a personal vendetta against those who were faithful to Frank and felt threatened by them. Tiffany thanked the board for their trust and vowed to always put the needs of the people first. People with background knowledge. She rapidly started to establish her authority. One of Tiffany Henyard's first acts as mayor was to remove Jessica Jones from her post. The decision was supported unanimously, even by trustee Christopher Gonzalez, who had recommended Tiffany for the job. Trustees Jerry Jones and Joyce Washington made the motion.
Acting Police Chief of Dalton has been charged with bankruptcy fraud. Louis Lacey is accused of filing misleading statements in his 2019 bankruptcy case. Lacey is a close ally of Dalton Mayor Tiffany Henyard. He's actually the second top aide to Henyard to face federal bankruptcy fraud charges in recent months.
Approval following Tiffany turned her attention to Stephanie Weidman, but this time the vote was more difficult because Gonzalez was the only one voting against her. Weidman had been employed by Thornton Township since 2002 in a variety of capacities, jobs such as full-time worker and contractor. In July 2021, she received a promotion to executive assistant under the late supervisor Frank Zuckerli, with the goal of becoming chief of staff in the future. Weidman clarified that she collaborated with David as a member of Zuccar's transition team. The plan was for this team to lead through Zuccar's retirement, which was anticipated to happen within 3 years, with Jerry Williams appointed Executive Director of Transitional Operations. Weidman was also involved in getting Township Assessor Cassandra Stan ready for the 2025 election. Stan had been nominated, the new supervisor, during a Township Board meeting on March 4th, but each nomination was rejected either because of direct opposition from trustees Washington and Jones, or because of uncertainty over procedural matters. In contrast to Jones, however, Washington wasn't taken aback by the results. Her dismissal, she remembered a meeting with her supervisor, Henyard, who made it plain that she wasn't a member of her team, didn't trust her, and was removing her job responsibilities. She thought that since she had been there since 2002, that Henyard might reassign her, but that didn't happen, so she tried to counsel Henyard on making the transition smooth, but her recommendations were not well received despite the unrest. The Lansing Journal reached out to Tiffany's senior advisor Keith Freeman for comment, but things really heated up when it became known that Tiffany was intimidating other elected officials, sources claimed. She was not fond of Cesar when Elston eventually gained access to her office. Cassandra Sten even locked her out in a fit of wrath. Inside, she saw private documents strewn about in a public space, visible to the dozens of people that pass by there every day. These documents contain critical information, such as medical information and social security numbers. Tiffany Henyard is facing a number of lawsuits from former workers of Dalton and Thornton Township, which were filed in March. The claims accuse Tiffany Henyard of engaging in a concerning pattern of retaliatory firings and wrongful terminations throughout her tenure. Sandra Tracy, a former HR manager at Thornton Township, is a supervisory member of the town council and the village administrator of Thornton Township. Tracy alleges she was wrongfully dismissed in September 2022 while working as Henyard for Thornton Township, and Keith Freeman, Henyard's assistant. When Tracy returned to work in June 2022, she had been demoted to a clerk position and had been denied access to her workspace. She had been working from home or her car for months without being able to leave the office after taking a medical leave of absence due to surgery, while also taking care of her ailing husband. The strain caused her to have a heart attack in August 2022. She is suing the company for emotional suffering and retaliatory termination. On March 13th, Karen Johnson, a former administrative assistant in the Public Works Department of Dalton, filed a lawsuit against Henyard and Freeman. Johnson asserts, when she was fired in August 2022, she claims that Henyard violated her constitutional rights by making village workers work on her recall campaign while she was on the payroll following the recall vote, which Henyard eventually won. Johnson claims that Henyard began taking revenge for those that weren't in favor of her. Johnson claims she was dismissed for looking up news about Henyard on her work computer. She alleges this was a part of a larger practice of retribution against anyone who didn't agree with Henyard. Samisha Williams, a former village employee and candidate for Dalton trustee, is involved in 2 cases. In the federal action, Williams argues that Henyard retaliated against several individuals by suppressing public documents and ordering village officials should not consider requests. Williams also claims that Henyard told her to refuse licenses unless locals gave money to her campaign. Williams was let go in August 2022, and the letter she received from a police off-duty officer didn't specify why. She is requesting attorney's costs and damages for back pay. Williams also faces legal action in Cook County Circuit Court for alleged defamation from her campaign last year, and worries about her spending patterns and financial choices quickly surfaced among residents of Dalton as accusations of wasteful spending surfaced. Community groups and local government representatives started to question how public monies were being used under her administration. As a result, she was hit with 2 subpoenas, each zeroing in on public records. Focuses on various facets of her interactions. The first subpoena takes readers on a thorough exploration of Henyard's personal and professional life, encompassing everything from personnel records to bank statements to income from her several ventures, which includes a restaurant. She is the owner of a political action committee, a charity, and a property management firm. The second subpoena focuses on township finances and requests documentation of everything from payroll and budgeting to credit card usage policies, reports the financial documents that were uncovered by several public records requests and investigations, together with huge and dubious charges made to the village's credit cards, marked the tipping point. These documents demonstrate how much money Henyard and her associates have spent on opulence, personal safety, and travel expenses paid for by taxpayers. One of the most obvious instances of Henyard's suspected financial misbehavior is her extravagant expenditure on travel and lodging. Documents uncovered by many investigations showed that, in less than a year, Henyard and her friends amassed almost $122,000 in travel costs that were levied against taxpayers. These costs included first-class flights, stays at opulent hotels, and lavish meals, all of which were paid for by the same constituents she was elected to represent, as demonstrated by a trip to Las Vegas. Considering the physical difficulties Dalton was having, it is astonishing that Henyard and her entourage spent at least $226,000. The trip included stays at upscale hotels and meals at some of the most expensive restaurants in the city, all at the taxpayers' cost. Serious questions have been raised over Henyard's priorities and whether her spending habits go beyond the Las Vegas vacation in favor of her own pleasure, disregarding the needs of her constituents. WGN's analysis of her credit card data showed that she had paid $133,000 at the Marriott Marquis in New York City and $99,000 for a stay at the Four Seasons in Atlanta. These are startling numbers, particularly in light of the serious financial difficulties that Dalton is currently experiencing. Many have questioned if Henyard is more concerned with her comfort than the financial security of her constituency. As a result of these expenses, detractors contend that such extravagant spending is completely unacceptable for a public figure, especially one who represents the people in their community. One giving limited resources to a community. The staggering pay of a village prosecutor, which was given to him over a 2-year period, was another dubious financial move taken under the Henry administration. This person earned $9 million, a sum that is far higher than what is customary for a post of that kind, has sparked questions about whether this compensation was appropriate and whether there were any hidden agendas behind such an extravagant payment. Henyard has not given a convincing justification for this outlay, which has increased rumors and mistrust among the locals. Some people even think that the prosecutor's salary could have been raised in order to get a quid pro quo arrangement or other types of wrongdoing. Additionally, Henyard has been charged of misusing public monies to support certain companies and people connected to her. For instance, a complaint claimed that Dalton authorities unfairly denied a barbershop owner a business license while giving special treatment to other companies connected to Henyard. This kind of behavior erodes public confidence and calls into question the integrity of Henyard's administration. Moreover, there have been claims that Henyard has employed friends and relatives for public office, frequently at exorbitant salaries. Wages the impression that Henyard is exploiting her position to benefit herself and those close to her has been further fueled by this, leading to charges of nepotism against ACC. Henyard's suspected financial impropriety has not gone ignored by federal government authorities. The FBI began looking into the NER administration with a focus on, among other things, the misappropriation of public monies. Several lawsuits in this inquiry have placed Henyard in the public eye, and many anticipate that she may face criminal charges. Former Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot was appointed as the head of a separate investigation of Henyard's finances by a former federal prosecutor. Lightfoot's investigation is anticipated to examine every aspect of Heard's financial affairs, including her extravagant spending, the $900,000 salary she gave the village prosecutor, the supposed nepotism and favoritism in her administration, and the misappropriation of funds for opulent travel accommodations. Additionally, Henyard has been charged with hiring Dalton police personnel for personal protection once more at taxpayer money. This practice has drawn criticism for being an improper use of public funds, particularly in light of the need for law enforcement in the town and the pressure on Tun's police force. Services Henyard's choice to use police resources for her own safety creates troubling moral issues and has prompted more demands for responsibility. It has been deemed a blatant abuse of authority because these cops were removed from their usual responsibilities to attend to Henry's personal requirements, and the narrative gets more complicated just when you thought it couldn't get much more. Nothing nothing could make it worse. After former Chicago Mayor Lori dropped a bombshell that left her $5 million in debt, the village's credit card spending spiraled out of hand, leaving everyone perplexed as to how this could have happened. This revelation followed closely on the heels of questionable spending habits, such as taxpayer-funded billboards and opulent meals, have caused village trustees to express concerns. However, here's the kicker: just as this financial catastrophe is revealed, Mayor Henyard, who's already under fire for allegedly squandering public funds, she has disappeared. The timing couldn't be more suspect, generating even more questions about what's actually going on behind the scenes while village staffers keep silent about her whereabouts, leaving everyone guessing. She was discovered evading all demands for remarks and vanished from her office. Brittany Norwood, a trustee at Dalton, expressed her frustration earlier this year that trustees were not being informed about the village's finances. She disclosed that the last time they received a bank statement was in September, revealing a $7 million deficit. It is unclear if Norwood is hiding from the pressure. Due to the lack of updated bank records, they are now left in the dark on the village's current financial situation. The Lightfoot probe also revealed excessive credit card spending, for which there were rarely receipts. The research, unfortunately, focuses on a single day when $40,000 was spent on Amazon, with 2 officers receiving 6-figure sums in overtime alone, more than tripling their base salaries. Questions regarding police mismanagement of cash persisted over time, and there was no clear accounting for where the money went. Even Louis Lacey, the deputy chief, who was just put on administrative leave, pocketed $96,000 over the previous fiscal year, although Lightfoot was unreserved in his assessment that the village has been unable to cover all of its monthly expenses with its available cash balance. None of the village trustees have come out to address the report following the Danning incident, allowing the citizens of Dalton to speculate as to how deep this monetary rabbit hole may go. But the real intrigue is in what's to come. The subpoenas show that the government is looking deeply for information that might reveal widespread wrongdoing. Former FBI agent Ross Rice has highlighted the breadth of these probes, indicating that grave accusations may be involved. The investigation's conclusion will undoubtedly have a lasting impact on the village, its residents, and possibly the larger political landscape as we watch this drama play out. The plot's twists and turns are far from over, and the final chapter has not yet been written. One fan even claimed that this self-proclaimed super mayor believed the keys to the kingdom were hers to enjoy however she pleased, without even considering the tax-paying citizens. While we wait for the next development in this drama to unfold, please share your thoughts in the comments section below. Also, don't forget to like, subscribe, and check out our other videos for more content similar to this one. Your support enables us to continue providing you with the most recent information and in-depth stories. Who filled those coffers? Jail her. Pay attention.